episode 29. We are officially back. Appreciate everybody tuning in today. My name is Mike London. I'm with Jeremy Greenwood, Chris Roscholt. No Matt this week. Matt was actually in Detroit area this weekend for one of our old hockey teammates at Northland, one of his weddings. So we'll start with Jeremy this week. Jeremy, how was the weekend?
Hey, nice to be back, guys. Mike, Chris, Matt, you're out there somewhere. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Had a nice weekend yesterday. My niece Willa had her second birthday party. Just really nice day out in Wisconsin. Sunny, almost too hot. Got the water pools or the little pools out, some water balloons, water guns, all that stuff. So had a good time there. Was supposed to have a Pirates game today. That got rained out. That was supposed to be at Cazenovia. I think that they jumped the gun a little bit early on canceling it. It rained pretty hard early, and it didn't really do anything all day, which is unfortunate because I think I was going to get the play due to not be having enough guys.
What position were you going to be today?
Second base. That's really the only place I can play now. Like I could go. I could run in the outfield and catch balls, but like my arm just, so second place, the only place for me. But other than that, pretty good weekend. Sundays always suck, man. Like Sundays suck so bad. Like the weekend's over. Like it's over, and it feels like it just started sometimes. And depending on, what the week brings, you're really not looking forward to Monday sometimes. But anyways, that's my weekend.
Rosh.
Yeah, it was a interesting weekend here. We are in the process of selling our house and buying a new house to get take advantage of the market out here in Denver right now. It's bonkers. We bought our house 2 years ago and are already getting offers of $150,000 over what we paid. So we're trying to capitalize on that and trying to capitalize on the low interest rates and just trying to get more space. We got, Cash Money's just a wild man. So he needs a yard, he needs bigger rooms and we got our dog and the 2 cats and we're just potentially expanding the family in the future. And so we're just needing some more space. So this weekend we cleared out of our house and have been living with the in-laws. In order to keep it open for showings. So we didn't have to worry about like, oh, there's a showing in 20 minutes, get your dog, kid, all that, clean up, do all that stuff and get out of the house. So instead of avoiding all that hassle and craziness, we just decided to just be gone for 3 days. That way we can get as many showings in there as we could. So been at the in-laws, which makes sleeping and stuff interesting. I slept on a twin bed. So my shins were at the end of the bed. I could not twist one way or the other. I rolled off. And to make matters worse, the birds decided to wake up at about 4:30 right outside my window. And so I actually went outside in my pajamas and started shaking a tree at 4:30 in the morning to get the birds to go to a different spot so I could sleep a little bit longer. But no, it's all good.
Probably quite the scene.
Oh, it would have been comical if somebody would have drove by. But yeah, other than that, it's been pretty relaxing after we've gotten everything done. Getting the house ready to sell, moving, doing all this stuff, getting places here, getting cash, getting the cats out of the house, getting the dog out of the house. And on top of that, we got finals going on for school. We just got 2 days left, Monday and Tuesday, and then that's done. And then football's already kicking off out here. We officially start June 1st, but we've been doing lifting and workouts and things like that and start with our practices on June 1st. So it's been a wild couple of weeks. So this weekend was actually kind of nice because it was relatively, in the words of Matt Lennon, since he's not here, I'll fill in for him, but it was pretty low key, other than being at the in-laws. It was a pretty low key weekend and I needed it because I was pretty physically and emotionally drained after the last 2 weeks. So
that's good.
That was good. How about you, Mike?
Oh, not too bad. We actually had I said on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we had a garage sale here in Ashland at our house. So
I saw that on Facebook. I saw the advertising for it.
Yeah. So Annette's sister Annabelle and her mom Christine, they were up here this weekend. So Thursday it was from like 3 to 7. The first day of it. I think there was like 25 cars outside of our house, or 20 cars or something like that. So people love a good garage sale here in Ashland. So I was pretty busy watching the kids this weekend. We went out to eat at a place just south of Ashland last night too. So, and then today obviously was watching all golf all day. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But without further ado, we have a special guest that we are bringing on. Good friend of mine. I know Rosh, Jeremy, you've met him as well. Let's get him on here right now. We have Matt Valley. Matt Valley, he's a Northland alum. I was fortunate to play with Matt for 3 years here at Northland. Got to coach him for 1 year as well. And he's actually the head coach of the Kam River Fighting Walleye in the Superior International Junior Hockey League. Matt, how are we doing?
Good, boys. Thanks for having me on. Pleasure to be here. I'm got to be honest here. Pretty pissed Matty Ice isn't here. I love you guys all very dearly.
Giving it to him all day too. I was just giving it to him, like no
I'm gonna be texting him here.
So, yeah, I can't believe he's not on too. But so you're pretty famous now. Weren't you just on Were you just doing a podcast with some guy from like TSN or something like that? What's the word there?
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend, Gino Retta. I'm gonna be honest. I feel equally as starstruck in here today, I think, but not gonna lie, like it was kind of like odd. Like I signed on to the Zoom and he's like, "Matt, buddy, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Hey, Gino Retta, like, what's up, buddy?" Like, what do I say to that guy? You know, like, and but we chatted for a couple minutes and then did the interview and then chatted at the end. It was pretty cool. Really easy guy to talk to, and yeah, it was pretty cool to be like scrolling through the TSN app, see my face. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah,
I got a chance to watch that too. That was obviously really cool to see. So, I guess Matt, just we'll start from the beginning. Just talk about a little bit, where you're from. Talk about obviously hockey days as well. Maybe where you played growing up, junior hockey, and then obviously college as well.
Yeah, so I'm from. A lot of us just say we're from Thunder Bay, which is like 3 hours north along the lake from Duluth. For those people that aren't super good with their geography, but I grew up just outside of the city. It's like 15 minutes in a little farming community called Oliver Papoonge. It has kind of like a bunch of different little communities that make up it, like Murillo, Kakabeka Falls, Stanley, stuff like that, which is actually where our hockey team, Kam River Fighting Walleye, is situated. So it's kind of cool to be part of the group that, brought junior hockey team back to like the community where I grew up. Right. So, pretty sweet. Yeah. And I grew up playing my minor hockey there. So coming up through, the AA ranks and eventually playing for the Thunder Bay AAA Kings here in Thunder Bay. My last year, a midget, or my last year of U18, I guess it's now called, up here. I played for Notre Dame in Saskatchewan, and then I started my junior career out there. Made a pit stop in Swan Valley in the Manitoba League, and then finished off in the SI, where I actually got to play against you, Lenny, for a bit. That's where we had our first encounters, and you were playing good old Dryden.
You took a couple of beatdowns, too, from the Dogs back in the day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, what's his name? What was your captain, Mitchell?
Yeah.
That guy fed me my lunch one time. Like, he like this kid, no joke, hit a kid on our team. Like, I thought it was dirty. I cross-checked him in the face. And before I could even get my gloves off, he hit me like 7 times, I bet. And he was jacked, Lenny? Like, that guy was pretty jacked. Yeah. But, yeah, so then I, after I finished in the SI, it came time to pick a college. And, I mean, you get a ton of D3 offers, especially after you think you're going D1, because everyone thinks they're deadly, right? Rude awakening, for sure, when there's no one calling anymore. And, I chose Northland for many reasons. Obviously, I knew a bunch of guys from the SI there. Hanny was there. Mac was there. You were there. Mobes was there. Not to mention when I came down to visit Hanny with Forbes that weekend, you Morsey and the boys treated me very well. I basically was blackout from the time I got to Asa until the time I left.
These two have been there, but we showed them a good neighborly welcome.
The Nabes, yeah. Club Nabes.
Oh, man. Crazy, eh? Like, if those walls could talk. And, never mind the Jack Shack walls. I don't know if we have to go there. But, yeah, man. So I chose Northland because it was close to home. I knew guys, and, it gave me the best financial package. So it was kind of an easy decision, and I'm really happy I did because, I bet I would have had a ton of buddies, anywhere you go. But, the guys I got in my life now, Lenny, Hazy, Brado, you go down that list, guys I stay in touch with still. It's pretty sweet, right? And if the frickin' border was open, I'm sure when I was getting married in August here, the boys would be coming up. But, what do you do, right? So, yeah,
talk. So I'm sure a lot of people. So, what's going on with COVID and stuff? Just right now in Canada. Isn't Ontario just insane?
Yeah, we just are allowed we were just allowed to start golfing yesterday. Only place in the world you couldn't golf. And give you some perspective, the community, so the Thunder Bay District Health Region has 150,000 people. And I think there was 20 cases in our region. What the fuck? Why can't we golf?
Yeah, that's insane.
You know what I mean? Anyway, so yeah.
That was
go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, I just got a quick question, man. So you play teams, you play a team out of Spooner, Wisconsin, right? So how does that work with the border closed? Do you play them or do you have to wait, or how does that work?
So last year they were kind of dormant, I guess. They let their players go play in the NA3 and NCDC, USPHL, wherever they could find a place to play.
Okay.
And they still retain their SIJHL rights, which the SIJHL, for people that wouldn't know what that is, I don't want to call it the governing body, but it's an association made up of all the Canadian Junior A leagues. So the BCHL, the Alberta League, Saskatchewan League, Manitoba League, us, the Northern Ontario League, so on and so forth, right?
Gotcha.
Okay. All the way up to the East Coast, right? So they retain their rights. Same with the Thief River Falls, Norskies, same thing. They have players that kind of just let do their thing, but they kind of retained or loaned their CJHL rights if they were Canadian kids that were down there. And it sounds like, I don't know, you can't read everything you click, right, on the internet, but I read something today that said 50% of Canada has their first shot. And I believe the border is going to open up when it's 75% has their first shot or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Matt, talk, obviously, your first ever, you were coaching before this year with Kam River, but and obviously probably not the way you envisioned, your first probably year of, junior coaching, but just talk to us a little bit, just how it was this year, how it was navigating through everything during the pandemic. Because it was obviously tough on everybody this year.
Yeah, pretty crazy. We, as an expansion team, we prepared as if we were playing, and thank God we did, because if we wouldn't have been ready, we would have probably got smoked 10-0 by the North Stars, which are the best team in the league almost every year, right, Lenny? You know that. Yeah. So we prepared as if we were playing, and we worked our asses off to recruit kids from all four corners of the continent. We ended up getting one American kid across the border. And he was one of our better players too. So good thing he was there. And so we worked really hard to get a team together. And it was just so crazy how quick it came, because it was we weren't skating at all. And all of a sudden it was okay, you're allowed to skate. So we brought our guys in. Okay, you can practice. So we started practicing for real. Okay, you can play exhibition games. So we started playing the North Stars. And then it's oh, you're 4 games into this 8-game exhibition series. The next 4 are regular season games. We're okay. So it's just crazy how quick it happened. And it's just that mindset, right, of not only as a first-time junior A head coach, but as a lot of our players that we recruited were just really good junior B players or AAA players, right? So we're a young team. So all of us were sort of just taking it as we can. There's no roadmap. There's no precedent set for what we were going through.
Right.
So it was actually just we were just rolling with it, right, and having fun and working hard, and it worked out for us as we took 3 or 4 from what I would call the best team in the league. So it was pretty fun before she got shut down at Christmas there. But, yeah, I don't know what the other thing that was kind of interesting. There was a documentary crew from the Confederation College following us as like one of their final projects. So some practices, Lenny, like you can imagine, we're doing drills, and they're these kids who have never been on the ice before in their life. They're from wherever. A couple of them are international students. I don't even think they've ever seen skates before, and they're at center ice, like just watching our guys buzz by them. I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna run into these people, because you know how I am. I get talking, I get moving, I'm flying around, and I'm just like having to watch out for these kids on the ice with cameras. So it's pretty cool. They got some good shots, and one of the ones was me and Kev traded a kid. Poor kid, I can't believe we did this. So the guy asked to be in there while we traded him, and I'm like, "Are you okay with this, Kev?"
Really?
Yeah. So this poor kid, we're telling him we're trading him to Fort Francis, and obviously I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Talking about what happened at Fort Francis. So we traded this kid to Fort Francis, and he starts crying, and the camera guy's in there. I'm like, oh fuck! It's like when I couldn't believe it. Like, what do you say? And I'm like, sorry, buddy. Like, you're gonna get a better role there. You're trying to like.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
A lot of interesting things happened this year, and meanwhile, dealing with the pandemic, it was crazy. What a learning experience, and you just got to keep learning, as you know, Lenny, in coaching. You just keep learning, keep doing what you can do to get better.
That kind of leads into my next question for you too, Vals. Like, what? I'm curious to see what you obviously with the full year under your belt, but like, we've had some other coaches on here. I think we've had a couple other coaches on, but what type of things are you, other than the fact if the kid can play, like what are some other things that you're looking for in like a player? And obviously, like for you guys, like you're building up a program, but what are some things that you're like really looking for when you're recruiting a kid?
Yeah, that's a good question, because like, I mean, I've had to kind of go through the ranks as a coach, right? So I started helping out a local junior B team when I was doing my teacher's education here in Thunder Bay after getting my undergrad at Northland. And then I moved into coaching like a U15 team and then a U16 team. And eventually, I'm with the junior team. So I've kind of had to, I guess, see different like levels of the game and work with different types of people, right? Because like, kids that are playing junior in Canada generally have like college hockey aspirations. Whereas like some kids, when they're in the U15, they're doing it maybe just because their parents are telling them to do it, or in junior B, they're doing it just because something to do while they go to school or something or whatever. So you have to kind of like, you see a lot, right? And I think the most important thing for us starting a team, you got to think about you're building a foundation. That's your first step forward on your journey. So that's like the most important one. So you want to build that foundation, and comes with that is like the community you build and the culture you set in your dressing room and around your team. And I think like, some of the best marketing can be word of mouth. And if you have a bunch of shit rats on your team, having parties of their billets when they're all allowed to, breaking curfew, breaking team rules, lying, blah, blah, blah. You know what it is. Like we had kids that we traded like 2 weeks into the season. They were our two biggest recruits. One kid was a Notre Dame AAA player. The other kid was a Manitoba point a game AAA player, our two best recruits. And we dealt them because they broke team rules, right? So
yeah.
The most important thing is to me, like those type of guys, like, yeah, we have fun. The boys have fun, but like, you got to earn it first. Like the beers taste better, all that kind of stuff is better, more enjoyable. I think when you've earned it and when you're following the rules and you win a big game, as opposed to if you're 0-10 and you're still going out, it's like,
yeah,
I guess, what does that say about us at Northland, Lenny? We had some tough years and we still had fun.
but we got it. We had some good years too, though.
We said, did we not like make history there in my junior year?
Yeah, we did. That was or your sophomore year, I think it was.
Sophomore year, yeah, your junior year.
Yeah, we had a
Matty Ice. That was a huge goal. Matty Ice scored the winner in Lawrence.
He did. That was backhand bar down. I think it was.
I think I was the one at
Jay Green. We're in Ross. Weren't you?
Yeah,
guys
we
there?
were there. Yeah,
we were both. Yeah. We were both at that one, and then we were at your one in Adrian. I think that same year when you guys got smoked.
That was
let's talk about that.
Tough first round matchup.
Yeah. You want to talk about a tough matchup? Try riding with Papa Mike, as he's got a bag full of coins because you got to hit every. I got to get out perfect change to hit every toll when we're in Illinois.
How is Mike?
He's doing good. They were up here. We did some fishing last weekend and caught a couple big fish.
Yeah.
So,
I love it.
So Valley, who's this? I got a couple questions here.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you know who the answer to this is, but who's your favorite GM?
in like my league?
Yeah, anywhere. Yeah.
Oh, anywhere.
We have a couple
know.
comments in our section here.
Yeah, we have some.
Kev-
I'm looking at the
Kev
comments here. So
McCollum.
just
There's calls. Can I see the comments too? That's a good question. I love it.
No, Kevin McCollum, he's asking who your favorite GM is.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kevin.
Well, I mean, in my league, I was gonna say, like, I already know what's going on here. You know what I'm gonna say, and I'd say in the SIJHL it'd be Kevin. In my opinion, not even pumping his tires, but I mean, like, the guy's a wizard. He's taught me so much over the years, not only in this past year when he brought me on to be this coach. The utmost respect for the work he puts in and what he's taught me. But, like, even when he was my coach and my advisor kind of in junior hockey and moving me into college, like, just did so much work for me and helped me, like, learn so much about the process and myself. And yeah, he's great guy. And I mean, like, the heartbeat of our organization for sure. I'm just trying to keep up. And yeah, it's lovely. I hope if he's on here listening, hey, Kev, I'll see you at FSL tomorrow. That's all.
The one last thing I'll say is, you know, we've had guests on in the past, and one of them specifically, I'm thinking of Nick Wagner. He helps students transition from college at University of Missouri, and since then I've been a pretty big Missouri fan, like University of Missouri. And so I went to your website and I'm like, you know, let's check out these Fighting Walleye and see if I can get a hat or a shirt, and they won't ship to America.
Really?
Yeah, there's no US dollars.
Well, we're gonna have to do something there.
So anyway, yeah, just throwing that out there because I'd like to have a hat or a shirt or something, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And I actually, now that you say that, Lenny, I think I was supposed to send you something like.
Yeah, we were gonna get to that. Yeah, but don't worry, I've been meaning to send Jeremy a hat for like 5 years now, so that still hasn't happened at all.
Yeah, okay, that makes me feel a lot better then. But yeah,
that sounds good, Kevin. Thank you.
Yeah. Back to that question. Yeah, that's the most important thing, man. It's just like the dudes you have, the tight knit group, and like that'll take you way further than a bunch of skilled guys who don't give a shit about each other. I think, anyways.
I just had one last question because obviously, you know, it was really weird coaching you for a year or two. But like, obviously, we played together for 3 years, and then I got into coaching right away. I was assistant coach at Northland. Valley was our captain that final year. But do you have like a memorable game or time or maybe even a season, I guess, just at Northland?
I mean, like we kind of touched on it, that run. You know, I think one thing about Northland was that, like, the way it had been when we all started going there. Yeah. Wasn't very great, and that's nothing against the school at all. I mean, it's in a tough conference, and I think Fab's had his plate full, but I think he did a good job at bringing some guys in there that, you know, cared and wanted to change it. And I think by my second year there, we started bringing in some guys, and we still had, you know, Ryder and you and me and you know, Brado was like a stud, right? Like, for us, just a rock. And we got some consistent goaltending that year down the stretch, and I think, like, beating Lawrence in Lawrence was something I bet, you know, people in that conference never thought Northland could do. So that was amazing, especially because it was just like, hey, you won. Now you got to go back in the room and come out and beat them again in one period, like OT, sudden death, and it was just like the wildest thing I could have imagined. And like you said, being on the ice for Matty Ice's goal and just like tackling him, and he's just like, good, and he's screaming in my face, and everyone's piling on top of you. And, it was just like it was wild, man.
We'll never forget that. Ever.
Yeah.
We'll never forget that.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, you go to Adrian and they just wax you, but, like, I mean, they're a D1, right? So
yeah.
So that year was amazing. I mean, there's a million things. We had a really good time there and a lot of memorable moments being at Northland. But I'd have to say I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the bachelor party. I think that was one of our best weekends ever, like with the boys going down to Nashville. I mean, I swear I talk about that trip every couple months to somebody. You know what I mean? For what I remember of it, anyway.
Well, so Matt's getting married this summer. Obviously, I know your border situation right now back in Canada, but we're going to Nashville again. So that's where Matt's bachelor party is this year. So
Matt, you remember driving us down there? I was in your car. You remember how fast you were going?
Like if it was posted, what would be the speed limit? I remember probably I was going 30 miles over at minimum.
Yeah, you were going 100 miles per hour, man. At one point.
I got a lead foot. It's bad. I'm not as bad like in Thunder Bay because there's not like freeways like we were on. When I'm on a freeway, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like one speed. You know what I mean?
Last question here, Valis, because we don't want to take too much of your time. But how's you got a little one now? But just how's dad life treating you right now?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. Like there's times when you're just like I look at her and I'm just like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. She's doing something different every day. I love you so much. And then there's times that you're just like, I just want to watch this game. Like, can you just can you stop shitting for 5 seconds? No, it's unreal, as you know. Like, just it's the ultimate game changer, right? It even makes me love Christy more. Even, you know what I mean? It's cool to see, and I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Like with that, it's just like something you can't really explain, but it's awesome. But the work-life balance is pretty crazy too, right? And especially for me, just like a million things on the go all the time. And I think Christy wants to throw my phone in the river. Like we live like right on a river. I think she's going to toss it in that river any day. She just hates it because I'm on it 24/7. Right. But it's awesome, man. Yeah. What a journey it's been. And pretty pumped to come on here and talk with you guys. It feels like I just seen you last week. It's crazy how that happens. Like,
yeah. Well, we're going to tweet this stuff out too. But your guys' locker room and setup that you guys just finished up now, that's next level. I can't wait to get up to hopefully.
Recruiting tool.
Yeah,
it's huge.
You
guys have that.
I'll you know what I'll do is I'm gonna fire you the email that has all the recruiting links on it. So it has like the 8-minute documentary they did. It has this other like marketing video where it's like just a promotional video for our team and for one of our sponsors where like they caught like one of my, I guess, pregame speeches. I didn't even know they were in there.
Oh man. Can't wait to see that.
Probably said some things I shouldn't have said. Like I didn't know they were in there. Like, you know what I mean? But like, why are you posting this shit? But it was good, I think. Anyways, it wasn't too against the grain. But you know how things can be misconstrued nowadays. Anyways, but yeah, and then it'll have like a walkthrough of our dressing room, pictures of our room, and all that stuff. The dressing room's unbelievable, man. It's I can't even like that's when I call guys sometimes and they like tell me what their other options are. I'm like, okay, you can go to that broom closet or come be in this place because it's true, like you said, Jay. It's nuts. Like a kid walks in there, some like you know what I mean, and he's just like he just like doesn't know what to say. Like they're speechless. Right?
It makes a difference for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, I can't wait to be up to hopefully, like I was saying, hopefully the border will be open. I'll be able to catch a few games next fall, but or this upcoming winter. But Val's, really appreciate it, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Best of luck this season, man.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. It's good to see you. Take care. And again, make sure I'll be throwing jabs Matty Ice's way too, and make sure you give him one for me. I'm gonna have to come back on now. I got to see the guy, right?
Yeah. We'll get you back on
during the season
for sure. All right. Thanks, buddy.
Care,
we'll see you later.
See you guys. Thanks.
All right. That was awesome.
Cool.
I can't get enough. I can't get enough of one, Canadian accents, but then two, you mix it with the hockey lingo, dude. I just laugh at some of the stuff. Like I just love the vocabulary. I mean, some of the it's funny.
It's funny because so when I went to Northland here, I think me and Matt were like 2 of 4 Americans. Everybody else was Canadian. I think we had one kid from Sweden. But like when you hang out, and you guys make fun of me about this stuff too. Like when I hang out with those guys, and I catch myself like starting to talk Canadian. It's crazy.
That makes sense.
Well, a couple of the things that he said are things that you've said a bunch too. And so like the one was something about kicking tires or rubbing tires or whatever. Whatever that one was. I've heard you say that a bunch of times. You know, it's just funny. It's good stuff though.
Okay. Well, if you were sleeping under a rock today, Phil Mickelson won the PGA Championship. Did you guys get a chance to watch any of that?
Yeah, I watched. I think it was. I watched starting with Phil on hole 1, and I got to watch him to like hole 12, and then I wasn't able to watch the rest of it. But he was on a whole nother level of like I've seen not as much golf as you, Mike, or probably not even as much as some of our followers, but he seemed just locked in. You know, like he had a couple bad holes, but overall, like his swing, he was just so consistent all weekend, and I think that was the difference because, you know, like Koepka was -6, -2, -4, -6, -2, minus. I mean, he was, and all those guys were so up and down. Where Phil just kind of kept steady after that one day where he went like 4 under. He just stayed steady the rest of the weekend. It was crazy.
Jay Green, did you get watch any of it or what?
I don't have a ton to add. I a couple weeks ago went to a wild weekend with a couple of, or I think I mentioned that, the Olsons, the Maxfields, and my brother, and we did a little championship contest that I won on DraftKings.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Louis Oosthuizen brought me home the championship there. So that's all I got with the golf.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you kind of take the lead on this, Mike, but it was. I personally, I know Mike's not a big Phil guy, and he'll explain why. But me personally, I love to golf, and I watch enough golf to know the golfers and to know the major tournaments and when they are and things like that. But I loved seeing Phil win because when I personally felt like the PGA, now not golf as a sport, but just the PGA was at its highest point, was when you had Tiger and you had Phil and you had that rivalry back and forth. And I mean, there's a couple other names in there too. But like that, you look at the names now in golf and you don't see any of those anymore. I mean, every once in a while you'll see like Stewart Cink or somebody like that. But I think they said he's the oldest to ever win a championship, right? Isn't that what they said? Phil is.
Yeah, by like 3 years now. He's 51 or turning 51. There was some other guy, I think, who won it when he was like 48 or something like that. So
yeah, and I mean he went. I remember Phil went through a long stretch of his career without a major, and then he finally, I think it was maybe the Masters was the first one he won. And he won his first one really late in his career, and so I was excited to see him win just because to me he's the last of like that 90s, early 2000s era. So I was excited to see him win, even though I am a Brooks Koepka fan. It was nice to see Phil win just because it kind of brought back some memories of the glory days with Tiger.
Yeah, no, you touched on it. I'm not a Phil Mickelson for whatever reason. Like him and Tiger, like I think it's been known, like him and Tiger like don't get along, or I think they're better now, but like back in their heyday, like they kind of despised each other. So obviously I was a huge Tiger fan, but I don't. There's just something about Phil. If you guys saw, he rocked his shade, like his sunglasses all day, and then he always does like when he's walking, he does like the thumbs up. He's always just like trying to do that to everybody. Like I don't know, I'm just not a big Phil guy, but I think it's good for golf that he was obviously around it. But couple more topics this week. I'm curious. I'm gonna go first with this one, and I don't know if Rosh and Jay Green, I don't know if you guys did any research on this, but first one is best hair in all of sports, and I'm not going current with mine. I'm going with Randy Johnson, the pitcher, for best hair in all sports. Greasy mullet. And Jay Green and I were actually talking about this beforehand, that that was like he was more like Randy Johnson was more of like a bad boy, like pitcher, could throw it like 103 miles an hour. Do you guys remember when he actually hit that bird?
He hit the bird in Houston, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I had to do some thinking, some hard thinking on this one, but I'm gonna go with Randy Johnson. He's obviously not current, but
you got yours, Rush?
Yeah. The one I'm going a different route here. And I don't know if it's partially because he just has nice looking hair or partially because he's literally like one of the classiest athletes to ever play the game of football. But I'm a big fan of Larry Fitzgerald's dreadlocks. He just, I know, but like, we're thinking hair, and you could list off 1,000 hockey players, right? Or you could list off these baseball players like Hader or somebody like that. So I kind of wanted to go outside the box a little bit. And whenever I think of Larry, like he's just a class act all the time. I just always think of those dreads hanging out the back of his Revolution football helmet, and how I swear they've been the same length, the same shape, everything since he entered the league. And like whenever I think of him, I just think of his dreadlocks. And so I think that's who I would pick for best hair.
I guess if I had to say who I think had the best hair in all sports, it's probably Troy Polamalu, right? Like, that guy's fluff, like the Head and Shoulders commercials. And he's a pretty good guy too, right? Like, he was he was known for his hard hits and staying out of the public in terms of like bad boy. It's funny you say that, because I'm not for sure, Rosh, that there was a Madden cover where he was on the cover maybe with Fitzgerald. Does that sound right? Maybe not. Just forget it.
Sure.
Just forget it.
But no, that's a good pick though. That's a good pick. I didn't even think about him.
So I forget. I was actually listening to this too, but I forget where I was listening to this. But some other names that were mentioned were Odell Beckham Jr. His hair.
Yeah, I could see that.
Jacob DeGrom. They're obviously current. Jacob DeGrom with the
I could see that.
Mets, and the other one I forget. It must have been in Wisconsin, but it was Clay Matthews.
Yeah, I can see that.
Another good one.
So this kind of leads us to our next topic, but which it can be. I think we might have already did this. Current or not current sports athlete you would most want to have a beer with. I'll let you two go first on this.
I'm gonna take this one first, Jay Green, because I think I mentioned something in our group text, and Mike's like, save it for the cast. So without a doubt, if you go dead or alive, that makes it a lot more difficult. But just current like athletes to have been playing or playing recently, and this dude, between his interviews, the things he says, I follow the NFL.com or NFL Instagram page, and they constantly show things of him being mic'd up and that I've never even seen before, even when he was playing. And dude's just hilarious. Like he's just so back, like just out of every area, he's just goofy. Like he's super serious 1 second, and then he's goofy, and then he's here, and then he's just all over the place. And that'd be Marshawn Lynch, dude.
That's right,
dude.
That's right.
He's just like, I mean, he sat in an entire interview. He set the timer on his phone, and every question he said, "I'm just here so I won't get fined." And they asked him another question. He responded with the same thing. And as soon as his minimum time was done that he was required to do without being fined, he hit stop. He got up and he walked out of the interview. Like just things like that. And there's this, I think somebody sent like the Instagram, it was him and Rodgers, right? I think it was him and Rodgers talking on the field, and Marshawn Lynch was talking about a blitz package he had and how he was going to blitz, and just like the way he talks and the things he says is just, I would love to sit down with that dude for just an hour and just talk to him, because I have a feeling I'd be laughing my butt off the entire time. So, Jay Green, who you got?
No, that's for sure. I kind of cheated a little bit. I did like a round table. I didn't just pick one. So don't find me. So I thought maybe, okay, let's pick. Let's have some randomness to this, right? Let's get some different perspectives. Let's get some different conversation going. And if you don't want to drink a beer, have a Kool-Aid, whatever you want. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's going to be at my table.
Okay.
He's an infamous beer drinker, or when he's up in the ring, and I don't know if that counts as a sport, but it counts for me. Pete Rose. Pete Rose is one of my favorite athletes of all time. If you've ever been to my house, I got a signed bat, signed baseball of his, worth a lot of money. Please don't rob me. Simone Biles, the famous gymnast from a couple years ago. And actually, I was just watching her earlier today. She's won, I don't know what it was, but she's tearing it up. And so just like a nice round table with different conversations and different things. But I think that's a really good question. Love for other people to comment here. Dean Repka says Brett Favre. That's an absolutely terrible one. You got nothing to say to the guy.
Good pick, Dean. Good
Mike,
pick.
let's hear yours.
So I have 3.
Okay, good.
I
like it. I like it.
I'm glad I picked one, guys. This is great.
I have Mike Tyson and John Daly.
Oh, jeez. Get those two together.
That would be like, can you imagine just if it was just you and Mike Tyson and John Daly on your.
I'm not sitting with Mike Tyson.
Well, you should. I think I sent you guys his podcast that he's doing is actually really. It's like I forget what it's called, but it's kind of neat just to hear him to go back and talk to about different fights and he's not. But he seems a lot different than what he was in the past, like that. Before he was like this crazy guy, but he's a lot different now. It seems like.
Yeah, he's promoting the game even more so, the sport something more so now. Yeah.
Mike Tyson, John Daly, and then my third would be Aaron Rodgers and mailing just to see what's going on here. Give me the scoop as to what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So, but those are
God. Anna Kreisky hitting us with the feels there. She drops a Kobe comment, which that's a good conversation to have. Talk about one of the biggest competitors ever in any sport. But yeah, I guess it sounds like. I don't know if this is for sure, but I know you guys mentioned he's going to speak tomorrow to who's he talking to tomorrow?
He's going right. So
Kenny Mayne.
Yeah, because Kenny Mayne just got released or fired from ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN's a joke.
So he's doing a sit down. I don't even know. It's probably going to be nothing we're.
Yeah, we're not going to hear anything. If I had to guess, that's
probably going to be some sort of comedy thing or whatever. But it's. I don't know. I'm just ready for him to maybe speak. Well, hopefully he does though. We were talking about if he's comes out and says I want to be traded. Well, good. Then let's trade him.
He's enjoying this clearly.
I just want it's either this was all a big overreaction or just say something. That's kind of where I'm at with everything right now. But two more kind of last topic here. We have obviously a huge Minnesota Wild fan. My Blackhawks are out, and we obviously with our Denver host that we have here as well with the Colorado Avalanche. I want to hear you guys just overall thoughts so far of the NHL playoffs because we're about a little over a week in now, or pretty much a week. I know I didn't get a chance to watch too much hockey just throughout the year for whatever reason, but I've been glued obviously watching a lot of NHL playoff games. But just for reactions of playoffs thus far.
They're awesome. They're absolutely, it's everything you'd ask. The Avalanche series. I think that it's fun that they're winning, but it was a boring series. That wasn't fun. Hopefully they don't just pump the tires on or.
That's what it is.
Is it pump the tires?
Yeah, I think that's.
I don't know. Just destroy the Knights. It looks like they're going to be playing next. Other than that, the series are pretty good here. 2-2 Penguins Islanders, and it's just you got teams that are it's the type of playoffs you just got to get in, and we've talked about that a lot of the times. You got to get in. Your goalies, you got to get certain people to be healthy. Your goalies got to stay healthy. You got to play at the right time, and so I don't know. It's anybody's game at any time. Right now, it's looking like it's Colorado's game. But what do you think, Chris? I mean, do you see Colorado? And then it's another question for you guys, which I think will come at a different time. But is it good for a team to sit and wait for their opponent, or to come out fresh with their next opponent?
Cashman is going to join for this.
That's good. Hey, Cash.
So he can't hear you, otherwise he would wave to you. Can you say hi?
Hey, buddy.
There we go. No, I mean, to echo you, Jay Green, this NHL playoffs has just been ridiculous, to the point that, like, out here in Colorado, hockey's not big. It's getting there. I think high school, CHSA sanctioned, there's like 36 teams, and Wisconsin sits right around 90, Minnesota is significantly above that. There's not a lot of rinks, not a lot of teams. But I mean, people know hockey. People love the Avs out here, obviously. But it's neat. Like today I was at the gym and I just overhear two guys talking who know nothing about it. And they're just talking about how exciting it is to watch. One of my coworkers is a big basketball guy. He's played his whole life. He even coached it a little bit. And he does not even, I mean, he watches the NBA, but he's glued to the NHL just because of the intensity of it and how it's just back and forth. And a lot of the games have been super high scoring. And, for a while there, I think through like the first, I looked it up and I think it was like through the first 4 days of the first round, there was only 3 games that were decided by more than 1 goal. I mean, that's just nuts, and there's like 3 or 4 overtimes. Even if you got a 3-goal lead, it doesn't matter. I mean, teams have been coming back. I think the Bruins just did that. The Panthers just did that a couple days ago. I mean, it's been absolutely wild. And now I haven't watched the NBA much, but it does look like the NBA is actually playing defense now that it's playoff time. It does seem like the scores are a little tighter and stuff. But like I've watched enough Avalanche during the season. And they're exciting to watch during the season too. I mean, that whether they win or lose, I obviously really hope they win. But whether they win or lose, it's just such an exciting team, and there's so much young talent and speed, and they're just a blast to watch. But playoffs has just added to that. Even though these games have been blowouts for the most part. I mean, today I wouldn't consider a blowout. It ended up 5-2, but they got 2 empty netters at the end. But it's just been wild. Watching it all, and I'm a little biased, but I think the Avs are the favorite going into it right now. But some of the series I've watched, no offense, Jay Green, if the Knights end up coming out of that, the Knights are a scary team because they play really, really, really good defense, and their goalie is playing hot right now. Yeah, they're a really deep team, and this regular season and last season, the Knights have the Avalanche's number. Like they have some sort of strategy or they have some game plan that they've been able to slow them down. You're not going to stop the scoring that the top 2 lines that the Avalanche have, but the Knights have been able to slow them down enough. But, it's going to – I told Mike this. It's going to come down to Grubauer, the goalie for the Avs. If he stays healthy and plays like he has been, I think they're going to take it. But, man, there's just a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good teams. I was worried about the Bruins at first, and now they're looking like the team that I expected them to be. They're playing really well now. I think they were up last I saw. I don't know if they're still up in today's game. Yeah, they're up 2-1 in the third right now. It's exciting, man. That's all I can truly say is this NHL playoffs has kind of reinvigorated me for hockey to the point that I'm even wanting to get back into coaching, to be honest with you. Coaching being an assistant coach or something, just because I've missed it so much, and this playoffs has really even added to that, like kind of the exclamation point on excitement for hockey, I guess.
The two biggest takeaways for me, and I think we talked about this last podcast, but in hockey where you have, like, obviously this year we don't have the 1 versus 8 matchup, but we have the 1 versus 4.
Right.
But a prime example is you have the number 1 seed Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah,
are now tied 2 games with the Nashville Predators. Like you just don't see, like in the NBA, you never see something like that. And that's where I think just hockey's, like, people don't even blink an eye if the 8 seed or 4 seed would win that first round matchup, which is unreal. The second biggest thing is, and because last year there was obviously playoffs and it was, still cool to watch, but I think now when you in some of these stadiums where you've added fans, like prime example would be, because I was watching a little bit of it, was Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. Like they had I think it was sold out there.
Yeah, it had to have been because it was packed.
But then you look at, because like in Canada, like the restrictions are much different. Like they're not allowing any fans right now. So like, the other night when it was Toronto and Montreal and Toronto, there was like just not the same intensity. So I think that's certainly helping. Yeah, it's just been really fun to watch. And obviously amped it up really well too. So.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point, Mike, because being the higher seed, if you're in a state that is allowing fans, is a big deal. Like the Avalanche just have basically out here in Colorado, they've lifted the mask mandate. They just announced at Coors Field you don't need to wear a mask, and they're at full capacity because they're getting geared up for the All-Star game. And now I'm still calling it the Pepsi Center, but it's Ball Arena apparently now. They've basically opened it up, so now like Avs games are going to be packed.
Really?
Yeah, and so like that's a big home ice advantage opposed to if you're Edmonton or I'm trying to think of I know East Coast there's or not East Coast, sorry, the West Coast, they're still struggling with COVID and things as well. But you could have home ice, but if there's 5,000 fans in there, it doesn't feel like home ice. But you go to Nashville and you got 25,000 people and you got the offensive lineman for the Titans shirtless chugging beers, like that brings a little home ice advantage, so I think that's a big thing. And same thing in basketball, to be honest with you too. I think that depending on where your team is located, home court or home ice is a big deal if the fans are there.
Well, it's safe to say for all of our viewers, if you haven't tuned into NHL playoffs, we highly suggest you do that right now. So, but that's going to do it for this week's podcast. Be on the lookout. We have Jay Green and I are rocking it right now. We're rocking our Bird Boys merch. Turned out really nice. We've had quite a few requests to get. I know hats will for sure be in. We'll
and summer gear, tank
tops or something like that. But I appreciate everybody that was obviously purchased, and be on the lookout for round 2. We'll get that soon. So, but as always, give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All of our podcasts are also on Spotify and Apple. So until next week, we appreciate it.
All right. See you guys. Take care.
See you guys. Thank you.